Hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Jemma, and joining me this week, I have my good friend, Kirk. Welcome back, Kirk.
Hello, hi,
Hi.
hello.
Just the two of us tonight, the dynamic duo. We are going to go through some news items, including that Palworld controversy. We're going to look at a new Princess Peach trailer, 3DS and Wii U stuff, and the games we're playing, plus our usual Switch 2 rumors of the week. So, without further ado, let's kick things off because I really wanted to talk about Palworld this week. It's been on my newsfeed all week long, and I was pretty excited to just chat to you about it. This came out of nowhere for me. Had you heard of Palworld before?
Not until I saw it on the list of items to talk about.
Yeah, there you go. So I heard it, and we were talking kind of offline about the radio station that I listen to over here in Australia. But I heard it on the radio. Someone was talking about a game that was basically a Pokemon copy, and I'm like, oh, I should look into that. And then this was like a week ago, and then it was everywhere after that. It was on my Twitter feed, it was on my YouTube feed, it was everywhere. I watched the trailer, and yeah, it's stunningly similar in terms of the monsters of the game. Have you watched the trailer since then?
I didn't watch the trailer. I just pulled it up and read the description on Steam and some of the some of the comments, which
Yeah.
maybe didn't paint it in the best light, but were very
Yeah.
enthusiastic about it at the same time.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's doing quite well, and I want your opinion on this as well, whether that success, because I think earlier in the week it was 5 million downloads, then it was 8 million, and it's probably by the time we launch this episode, it's probably higher than that. I wonder whether for example, I heard it like I said on the radio. Was actually very tempted to download it just to see how close to Pokemon it was. I didn't, because when I looked into it, I really didn't feel like giving them my money because I think it is. It also maybe isn't necessarily my cup of tea, just because it's. So let me explain. It's not. So it looks like Pokemon. The monsters are complete rip-offs of Pokemon. I was watching the trailer thinking, this is Pokemon. What is going on here? Like, that looks like an Eevee. That looks like a Wooloo. It's very obvious. But the gameplay is actually quite different. And you sort of watch the trailer, and I'm sorry, I meant to send it to you before the show, because you watch the trailer, and about a minute in, the player pulls out a gun, like an AK something. I don't know much about guns, but they start shooting the Pokemon, not Pokemon, but they start shooting the Pokemon-like creatures, and you're like, what? Wait, what is going on here? Why are you shooting these creatures? It's a little violent, I suppose you could say, for a cute game like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the impression I got from the comments. The first comment I see here on Steam, someone just says, "Don't get sued, please."
Yeah.
So obviously, we all know this game's not going to last.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
long.
Exactly. So it looks like they've taken the kind of Pokemon aesthetic, tweaked it a little, changed maybe the eye size or some colors for these Pokemon, for the monsters that we know and love, put them in a different kind of game where they're shooting each other and doing other things. There's farming aspects. I think there's some sort of Minecraft aspect to it. I mean, when you watch the trailer, though, it just looks like Pokemon crossed with Fortnite, honestly. It's just
Yeah.
like...
Well, yeah, and it's kind of lazy, right? I mean, aside from the
Mm.
fact that it looks like they're completely ripping off the Pokemon characters, it's like taking them in that world and then just making them violent. Like, I think there's some in here where you can eat them
Oh,
if they're not
really?
good anymore, or you
Oh, my
starve them to
gosh.
death and stuff. Yeah, so it's the thing people do now where you take something that everyone loves and is basically kind of joyful and happy and like, let's see how dark and creepy we can make this, which is
Yes.
fine, but it's lazy. It's been done 100,000 times before. So if you're going to rip someone off, at least be clever with it, for crying
Yeah.
out loud.
Yeah, exactly. So I did some research. I was reading about whether Nintendo actually can sue them or not. And Nintendo has only made a very vague comment that they are aware of Palworld. They don't comment on specific titles, I think something to that effect. The
Yeah.
Pokemon Company has also come out and made a bit more of a sort of specific comment about they're looking into it. Like they're investigating if there are any IP kind of issues, intellectual property sort of clashes, and we'll probably hear further about that. I'm sure their lawyers are furiously trying to find something that they can get this team on because like I said, as soon as you look at the trailer, if you're somewhat familiar with Pokemon at all, you would think this is a Pokemon title.
Yeah. Well, and I
um,
think that's probably what they're going to end up doing is if they can prove that it's so close to Pokemon that it damages their brand, like
mhm,
parents
mhm.
will see it, think it's Pokemon, think Pokemon is
Mm.
that violent, and now not buy the game, then they have a case.
Exactly. Yes, that's it. That's exactly right. So I was reading that, you know, like I said, they've kind of changed some of the characters a little bit in terms of the eye size or color. Some sort of lawyer type people think maybe there's not a case in terms of the copyright side of things, but it's that brand reputation. It's that yeah. Once you start shooting Pokemon with guns or eating them, for goodness sake, I didn't even know about that. It damages their reputation. And exactly like you said, people who previously thought Pokemon was safe and family friendly will it will damage that. It will make people think, oh no, my kids are not to play that. That's awful. So yeah, Nintendo might have something there, or the Pokemon company might have something there. Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think I also read, and I can't remember the person's name or their position. Sorry, but they were an employee at the Pokemon company in some legal aspect, and they said, "I am surprised the game got this far." So
Yeah.
that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess they just revealed it, released it out of the blue, I
Let's
suppose.
see. Well, there was an update patch January 25th. I can't see if Steam actually states when the game went into early, release date January 19th.
Oh, okay. That's why it's been
Um,
the last week or so, because it's just someone's seen it, gone, "What is this?" And it's gone a bit viral, I suppose.
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's 8+ million
Yeah.
people playing. Or
Well,
that's a lot.
that's probably the plan, right? The developers will take
Mhm.
as much money from people as quickly as they can. Nintendo shuts them down, and then they don't give the money back. They just can't sell it anymore, and so they've got their
Mm.
cash and on they go. And all these people are going to cry again. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sounding very derogatory. I don't mean they're actually going to start crying, but be all
Yeah.
upset that Nintendo shut it down. Like, well, you knew it was coming. Don't blame
Yeah.
Nintendo for protecting their money makers for crying out
Yeah.
loud.
Yes. And Pokemon are definitely moneymakers. That's
Yes,
that's for
without
sure.
a doubt. Yeah, I mean, because there are a bunch of games that are like Pokemon and a bunch of other IPs that are close, but they found a way to put their own spin on it and separate enough, and so they're allowed to do it.
Mhm.
Whether these guys pull that off, the lawyers will let us know.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the coming weeks. It's just, yeah, it's interesting, and I did want to try it just so I could have more of an understanding of what it's like to talk about it. If I have an understanding of it, I can have more of an opinion, I suppose. All I'm basing it on is trailers and comments. Yes, so I wanted to try it so that I had a more of an understanding, but yeah, like I said, I just didn't want to give them my money because I just felt it wasn't right, and it doesn't. I don't really want to shoot Pokemon anyway, so I just don't think that's necessarily something I want to do. So yeah, we'll see. And I think I've read enough about it. I've seen enough footage of it to get a bit of an understanding. But yeah, even someone on Twitter was saying, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but they were comparing models of the Pokemon and saying it looked like the 3D renders were just copies, as in the actual outline of the characters, and then they might change it, the colors or whatever, to get by the copyright laws. And I don't know exactly how strict those copyright laws are, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't just take a 3D rendering of something and modify it. I don't know. It's a messy
Yeah,
situation.
I'd be curious. I mean, especially with something like that. Like if it's people, there are only so many body types we could use before we're going to be duplicating the way they look. But with
Mm,
Pokemon characters, they tend to have very distinctive designs that could be modified more heavily than just a different skin on top of it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. Do you have anything else to add to that before we move on?
No, I'm done talking about Palworld now, probably
Okay.
forever.
Fair enough, yes. Let's hope it just quietly disappears. Maybe not so quietly. Okay, well, let's talk about Princess Peach Showtime because that is coming out on, I think, March the 22nd. And there's a new trailer that's out right now. If you're listening to this on YouTube, we will put the trailer in so you can watch it while we talk. But yeah, essentially, it showed off two new powers that Peach has. which are Ninja and Cowgirl, and I'm loving the look of this game. How do you feel about it? Because it seems, to me, it looks fairly unique in that she's got these different costumes, which hopefully leads to different styles of gameplay in terms of a ninja is very different to a cowgirl. What do you think? Are you looking forward to this? Are you optimistic or kind of meh? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm torn, or ambivalent. Is that the word I'm looking for? Not
Oh yeah.
apathetic. I'm ambivalent.
Okay. Hmm.
Because I do think it looks really cool, and I like the look of it quite a bit. I'm
Hmm.
thrilled that Peach has her own game, and they're putting time into it instead of just kind of like tossing a Peach game out there that could have been anything.
Mm.
But I don't know if I want to play it yet.
Right. Okay. Because of the style, the type of game it is, or
Well, yeah, I have to see. I mean, again, keeping in mind with apologies to everyone, I'm not a huge fan of the Mario characters. I love
hmm
Nintendo, but I tend to not play the Mario games or the Kirby games or the Yoshi games.
hmm
I do some of them I played and have absolutely loved. With like Mario Wonder, for example, we talked
hmm
about.
yes.
But I think I'll wait. I'll need to see some reviews on this and get a better feel for gameplay to see whether it's something that would be able to hold my attention long enough to justify $60 purchase.
Yeah,
Assuming
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
60, it is 60, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be surely. I'm pretty sure I saw it yesterday at the shops, and in Australia. Well, I think it's 79 in Australia, but yeah, typical first party kind of price, I
Yeah.
assume. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Well, that's a good point. I mean, it certainly looks cute and fun and colorful. And yeah, like you said, Peach, it's really great that Peach has a game. She hasn't had her own game for a long time, and she's been a staple of Mario for forever. So it's nice to have an outing just for her. But yeah, it's hard to tell how deep it will be or how long it will be. We don't want just a 5 hour or 10-hour game, really, do we? We want something a bit more meaty. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit difficult to tell because the trailer is great and it shows more than just the two new powers. It also shows other powers like the sword fighting power. So there's quite a few now. I can't even think off the top of my head the number. We're looking at least I think six, right? Six or more different
Yeah, I think
powers
it
that she has.
was, were we up to 8? I thought,
Yeah, yeah, I think something like that.
okay.
So that's a lot of variety. And if each power exists in its own little world, maybe that takes a couple of hours to get through, then you're looking at a good sort of 16 to 20-hour game. That's just speculation on my behalf, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I don't know
wonder if you like after you complete it, because you mentioned the taking place in its own little world, like you can play through it again using a different outfit
mhm.
or character or job. I guess. In fact, that's something I thought during the trailer. The way they were showing off the different outfits and the different things she could do within those different skills that she had reminded me a lot of like the Bravely Default games or other
Mm.
Final Fantasy like RPGs, where when you get a new class that can do new that has different moves or different abilities, and you get a new costume with it, it very much felt like that kind of thing. Like we're leveling up our classes, and so we're getting new costumes, and now we can use a larger sword or two swords, or this one's got an
Mm.
axe. Not that she's wielding axes, but
That would be interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, wood chopper, lumberjack Peach.
she's going to be a patisserie instead.
Yeah, which is cool. I like the variety. It would have been fun
Oh yeah,
to come up with those ideas. I think. Yeah.
yeah, and we've seen that. In fact, I think in Bravely Default there might have been a patisserie was one of the
Oh,
jobs, or at least some kind of chef or cook or baker.
cool.
I'm almost
Yeah.
positive that. Yeah,
Yeah. It's been a while since I played
yeah.
that. But yes.
I I also like during the trailer that there were not in all the levels that they showed, but when they were showing off her different abilities, where it really looked like the whole thing was being done on a theater stage.
Yes.
There was
Mhm.
one maybe when she was a cowgirl where they had like lines coming down on the horse, like this is an effect, this isn't a real horse, and there
Mm.
were a few of
Mhm.
them where I really got the feeling that I'm watching this happen in a theater. But then there were a couple like the patisserie where it was so big it kind of lost that feel.
Yeah,
So I'm
true.
hoping that's more consistent in the main game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it does. I think you're right because it takes place on a stage. I think the whole premise is something about she goes to the theater and the bad guys take over. and she has to save the day or something, which is why it's called Princess Peach Showtime, I guess. And she's performing in a way, but also not. Yeah, there's the detective one. Even the sword fighting one looks. I mean, if you're talking about a stage show, it's quite a big stage because she's going up, you know, vertically around a building or something, right? So yeah, it's. I mean, you've been to the stage to the theater, right? They do have some pretty impressive stages. I
Oh,
think.
sure. Yeah, boy, yeah. Some of them on Broadway now, and even the touring ones, they've
Mm,
gotten a little
yeah,
out of control with the special effects. But
yeah. I wonder if she'll go backstage. That'll be interesting.
oh yeah, or up in the I want to say the rafters. Is there a theater term for that I used to know?
Oh,
The flies or
yeah.
something up in the I don't
Oh, that would be cool. I would love to see that. Yeah, you can make the sandbags fall. Do they still have those?
know. Like in all the murder mystery theater
Yeah.
productions, we're going to have lights or sandbags falling on falling
Yes,
on people.
exactly. Yep, exactly. I wanna see that. That will make it happen for me. Yeah, so that's good. So it's a good-looking trailer. We're curious about it, I suppose you could say. We'll see what happens. It's still 2 months or almost 2 months away.
Yeah,
So I'm sure we'll hear more about it. If there's a Nintendo Direct in February, I guess we'll hear a lot about it, probably.
yeah. I imagine
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be one of the featured games.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. Moving on to the next item, we have news that the Wii U and 3DS online services is officially shutting down on the 8th of April. It even has a time. It's 4 p.m. PDT. Is that Pacific Daylight Time? I don't know what PDT is.
Yeah,
Um,
Pacific Daylight. Yep.
yeah, okay. So that's what, 2 months ish away, two and a bit. What are your thoughts on this one? It's sort of, I mean, it's been coming for a while, right? Like we've expected this.
Yeah, it's kind of like how we were talking before we came on the air about how it's hard for people to let go of things sometimes.
Hmm. Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
I think people will be upset by it, but ultimately we'll find that it's not going to affect anything that they're doing on a
Yeah.
regular gaming basis. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there still playing some games, but
Mm.
I will be sad that I will never again get anybody on Street Pass.
Well, I think
Um,
Street Passes still works, I
oh, does
believe,
it?
because it uses local network connection.
Okay.
So yeah, the official statement says something to the effect of, where are we? That we sincerely thank players. What do they say? Something about Street Pass, I'm sure. I think some parts of Street Pass. So local communication features like Street Pass will still function as per usual. So that's good.
Okay. All
Yeah, because I thought the
right.
same thing. I'm like, "Oh, what if I wanna take it to a convention or, a different country,
Well,
or an airport or whatever?" Like you've
I
done
was going to say,
before.
although that would make me sad, I'm also looking forward to not feeling compelled to take my 3DS just so I can get people on Street Pass. So now I'm going to wrestle with that
Mm.
again as I'm staring at my luggage and determining what I have
Yeah.
room for and what I don't.
Yes. Yes, exactly. I'm going to Japan in April, so I was thinking whether I should take it and see if I meet people
Oh,
that way.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah, that could be fun. But then some parts, I think Spot Pass, which I don't remember exactly what that is, but that doesn't work, and I think it's aspects like when you meet people via Street Pass, they used to give you things like a piece of a puzzle, right? Like for the
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that
for
doesn't work,
those.
I think.
And I think there were some games like going back to Bravely Default. I tried playing the 3DS. There were two games that came out for the 3DS, and I tried playing through them a second time. There were elements in the game where you could connect to the server and recruit other people who had played the game and
Ah.
made their characters available to come in and help you fight. There were like
Mhm.
these this battle I think that happened in one of them that was completely separate, and you would like set up your ships or whatever and then go play the game and come back and see how that went. And I'm assuming that was all spot pass, and that's the kind of thing that's going to be shut down, which will make some elements of those games probably unplayable.
That is
If they
true.
relied on it too much, then yeah.
Mhm.
So even though you still got the system and still got the game, those components will not be usable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the sad part, I guess. Anything that relies on the online connectivity, yeah, won't be usable anymore. I
Yeah.
don't know how many people still are actively on 3DS. I was trying to look that up and I couldn't really see an easy answer. Um, yeah, but there'd still be some for sure. I mean, Trev plays it, right? And my kids play it sometimes. It's a good
Yeah,
little system. I love my 3DS. Yeah, same with the Wii U. I mean, we haven't played that probably in 6 months or so, but we were playing that last year on and off. Yeah, so most of the games will work, and you can still download pre-purchased games that you've previously bought.
yeah.
That's functionality still exists, so that's good. I mean, it was kind of inevitable. Sad but true. Yeah. Hopefully that means they're saving server space for something new and exciting for Switch or Switch 2. I don't know.
That could be, or completely changing the way it all connects and works, and it'll be
Yeah.
faster and more efficient, and yeah, give us
Mhm.
more to do, and we'll all be so happy that we'll completely forget our Wii U.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully. Here's to hoping for that. Yeah. All right. So April 8th, so yeah, a couple months away. If there's any further news on that before, I don't think, not sure what could change before then, but yeah, if you're listening and you are sad about it, let us know. We'd love to know your thoughts. The next item is the Jumpstart January sale, which is through February 7th. So another sale on the eShop, the Switch eShop. It's continuously having sales, and this has been a busy period for sales because we had Thanksgiving, then we had Christmas, New Year's, now January. So I feel like we're just going to get sales until for the while. I mean, every week there are sales, but I feel like we're going to have bigger sales than usual just until the Switch 2 comes. Well, I was going to say until the Switch 2 leaves, but I changed it before I said that. Until the Switch leaves or the Switch 2 comes, or both. What do you think?
Yes, yeah, I think definitely because of a lot of people be thinking they don't want to buy games, hoping that there's going to be a new system coming out. So I spend the money. So this is providing them incentive to hop on and finally pick up some games that maybe they'd been sitting on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
good because if there isn't, once they announce the new system, then we really stop getting new games for the Switch. There will always be a few, but
Mm-hmm.
so you're going to need something to keep you occupied. In fact, that may be a good topic for a future episode: is what games do we plan to
Yeah.
play through again while we're you know waiting patiently for the new system to roll out with all the
Mm.
new content.
Yeah. Great idea.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm looking through it now, and there are some games on here that I would definitely purchase. I don't know if I'm going to do it on this sale or wait for, like you said, the next one. But
Yeah.
the Etrian Odyssey remasters are on here for only $20. They all came out at 40.
Mm-hmm. That's
The
pretty good.
Persona games, I'm not going to dig into another one of those, but if you
Yeah.
haven't, they're great games, and now's the time to do it. But the one I do want to mention that I see on here is what we talked about last week: 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
Mm-hmm.
That's the game that is made by the developers who are putting out Unicorn Overlord in
Mm-hmm.
April.
Yep.
So if you haven't played one of their games, then I highly recommend you hop on there. The company is, well, it's published by Sega. Vanillaware, I believe, is that the name of the company?
I think so, yes.
Um,
Sounds familiar.
but kind of good example of their approach to gaming and the visuals that they like to use. So I
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend that game. It's a wonderful game. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, a few good ones on here, I think. I mean, even like Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, that
Oh yeah.
collection is 70% off. And I haven't played those, but I think you said you'd played at least one of them, right?
Yeah, although I do recommend if you're going to play those, they're much easier to play on a computer than on the Switch.
Yeah. Mhm. Sea of Stars, 20%
Oh
off.
yes. Oh yeah,
Mm.
wonderful.
I should probably pick that up. It was on sale. And I said to you before the show, Fae Farm is on sale, which I was waiting, and that's 20% off. That was the game I was playing last year
Yeah.
and really enjoyed during the free game trial, and then wanted to buy it, but it was quite expensive. And then eventually over Christmas, I did because I just wanted to. And now it's on sale, of course. I was waiting week after week after week. I'm like, it's not on Thanksgiving sale. It's not on Christmas sale. It's not on New Year's sale. I'm just going to buy it. It's never going to go on sale. And here it is. But that's okay. That's okay. That's a
Yep.
fun game. You got Pokemon Snap if you do want to enjoy some Pokemon that's not being shot at. Well, it is being shot at, but with a camera. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is 30% off. Excuse me. Yeah, there's quite a few to look through.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
and
that's
a
a
lot of them are like the deluxe edition. So even
mm,
you wanted to get that at the price of the standard edition. Now's your chance to do so.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few there. Gosh, I have to stop looking or I'll spend all my money. I will have to seriously consider getting Sea of Stars though, because that just looks lovely. And after you've been talking about it recently, yeah, I definitely want to play that. So that could keep me busy. Anyway, thank you for that, the sale. So yes, listeners, enjoy that. It's still until February the 7th, so you've still got another kind of week, almost 2 weeks, really, week and a half or so.
Yeah,
And then, yeah,
hopefully a payday rolls around in that time.
hopefully. Exactly, yes. Then you just have to find time to play them. That's the thing. Or
Yeah,
save
that's
them
true.
for that. Yeah. Or if like Coke said, you can save them up as a bit of a backlog until while we wait for the Switch 2, or when that happens and there's a bit of a space, maybe. Let's move on to the games that we're playing at the moment. And I wanted to start with one that I just randomly found yesterday. I was looking on the eShop just to see what was happening, and there was a demo for a game called The Pedestrian, which I had not heard of. And it came out only on the 19th of January, so quite recently. Played through the demo. My son played it with me as well. And it's like a platformer, but it's so unique. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this at all in terms of a trailer or anything, but it's a platform with a difference. You have kind of sections of platforming, and the sections are like on a flat surface, like a little mini screen that's kind of got boundaries. And some of the playable areas are like split into different sections, and you have to move them around like a little puzzle. So, for example, your little pedestrian, and it's like a little sort of black and white kind of aesthetic for the playable area. But I'll get into the background in a second. The playable area, you kind of move from left to right. You can go up and down. You can jump. You can pick up things. But sometimes there's an exit, and then you have to move another section adjacent to it so that you can exit at the right spot. Maybe pick up a key and then exit that room somewhere else and get to the end of this little playable area. So it's like a little contained bubble of platforming in a puzzle way. It's really clever, and it's really beautiful in that like the background that I mentioned. You're in the demo, at least you're in kind of this factory warehouse situation, and you're kind of leaving the factory but via these little screens that are like flat screens on the wall or something. It's really clever, it's really different, and I really enjoyed the demo. So not sure how the full game stands up, but yeah, the demo is definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something different and unique that looks really nice. It does. And the puzzles in the demo weren't too taxing. There's a nice tutorial that eases you into it, tells you the different buttons you can move, because you can pick things up. Like I said, you can jump, you can fall down through certain levels, like platforming levels. And then yeah, it's the moving around of the pieces that's kind of the main puzzle element. But not all levels are like that. Some you just have to interact with something, like there's a button that you have to touch that makes an elevator go up or down, for example, or makes a wall move or something like that. There's a few little cool mechanics like that keeps it very interesting throughout. Even this short demo, I think it's only about a half an hour or so. It's quite short,
Mm.
but enough to give you a taste, that's for sure. And I believe that was actually on sale as well at the moment from memory. I think there was a discount for this new game, so worth checking out.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm.
it's 25% off at
Yeah, there you go.
$15 US currently.
Yes, so I'm very tempted to get that because it is just something different and unique. And I mean, I love platformers anyway, but this is a really different take on it. Yeah, and if you
Yeah,
look at
and it's
yeah,
funny because the way you described it is I'm looking when I was looking at the pictures, I had no concept of what I was looking at.
yeah,
Like the way the graphics are set up, it's like it looks like something is in the way of the gameplay. But
yeah.
I guess that's not the case. What I'm looking at here that looked like it was just an obstruction is
Hmm.
actually where the game's played.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So it takes place on those little panels in the foreground, I suppose, and
Yeah.
then the background changes as you move across. Yeah, I'm not sure in the trailer. It looks like you're on the street, I guess, hence pedestrian. But it looks like there's not really a story in the demo so much. You just choose your not really an avatar, but you choose a male or female version of a pedestrian kind of figure, if that makes sense, like a stick figure almost.
Hmm.
And then you get to playing. So it seems like I said, you're trying to escape a building and maybe get to a certain place, which might take you outdoors in the full game. Yeah, but it's interesting, very interesting. So yeah, I enjoyed my time with that one. I definitely wanted to mention that. Check out the demo.
Cool.
The next one that I'm playing is actually for review, and this one is called Starward Rogue, and it is a shoot 'em up. I guess it's a twin stick shooter, top down kind of bullet hell situation. Um, it's probably not as good as I expected it to be, I suppose, from
Mm.
early plays. It's not bad. It's fine. It's just I probably need to spend a bit more time with it. But I didn't. I don't know. From the trailer, I thought it was potentially a little stronger. It's interesting. So I guess one aspect I have to mention is that it is randomized levels, which I'm not a huge fan of. So that's probably a personal preference. But I just prefer levels that I can work at and conquer. This is, it's a run. You run through, you generate a run and you go through and make your way through 5 levels of chaos. And, the shooting is fine. I think the controls are a little fiddly. Like you have to press down on the R stick to do certain things. And I'm not a fan of that. I don't particularly, I find it a little cumbersome to press down on the R stick. Do you know what I mean? Like on the top of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's usually something I do by mistake, and it pulls up a
Yeah.
menu during a fight, and
Yeah.
I get mad.
Exactly. I mean, my Pro controller has plenty of buttons to choose from, so use one of the other ones. I don't know.
No
Just not a
option
fan
to
of that.
map to remap that.
I will check that. I will check that. Yeah, I will check that. You have your standard. You can your R stick is your weapon, so you can fire in any direction. You've got some missiles on one of the sort of shoulder buttons. You have, you can sort of pick up different items and things like that. It's pretty tricky, I guess. There's 5 difficulty levels. I tried normal, so I might try an easy one and see if it is in fact easier. And I'll try harder one and see if it is in fact harder. But normal was fairly hard. And I guess one thing that aesthetically displeased me was the writing is tiny. Like I'm playing through the tutorial on my giant TV, and I'm squinting to see it, and I'm not that far away. My eyes aren't, admittedly, the best, but I don't need glasses. I'm not that blind. So I'm just like, what does that say? I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go closer to the TV to read that. It's tiny text. I'm not a big fan of that. Um, yeah, I'll try it in handheld as well and see what that's like. But yeah, just a few. It just seems maybe like it's a little buggy, I suppose. But it's going to be fine. It's not the worst game in the world. It's just perhaps a little. I think I've played better shooters. Is probably my overall summary
Yeah, and
there.
it's a very, very crowded genre.
It
So,
is. It
like,
is.
games have to be really good to rise to the top, or really different to really stand out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see. I'll give it a bit more love and write up my review during the week. The other game that I've been playing, I won't spend too much time on this because we talked about it in the past, because that is Super Mario RPG. And I finally
Ah,
finished it. I
congratulations. Trevor would be so
Yeah,
proud, and he's
I
not here to
know.
celebrate.
I know. I
He
only had
missed
2 stars.
Australia Day, and he missed this.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Trev. Hopefully you're listening and I don't know, talking out loud to yourself saying, but I don't know. Yeah. It's such a beautiful game. Super Mario RPG, it's lovely. I only had 2 stars to go. I played a lot over sort of in December, Christmas time, and I thought I just would pick it back up and finish it. I find it hard to sit through and actually finish games these days. It's just, you know, not always achievable in terms of time. But this one I was close enough, I thought, and I really wanted to see how it ended. It's yeah, it's really interesting, and yeah, I wish Trev was here because he would understand what I went through. But it's really clever. The Bowser's Keep area that you go to, which is Bowser's, castle that's been taken over by the bad guys. Um, it's not just going through another level of battles. It's like there's, I think, 6 doors to choose from, and you go in one, and you have to conquer whatever's behind that door. It could be puzzles, like there was a quiz. There was even something where there were 4 enemies standing there, and you had to talk to them, and they gave you a bit of a riddle, in terms of a race they ran, and they each of them gave you a piece of information to work out who won the race and who came second, who came third, who came fourth. I love that sort of thing. It's different. I'm not doing battles. I'm just actually using logic to work out, okay, Goomba won or whatever. So that was fun. Yeah, it was challenging and different. And then, of course, you fight this giant sword and you think you've finished, but then, of course, you actually have to fight the real bad guy who's in another world. And that was really hard. This weapons world, that was quite tricky. So it took me a few goes, but I got there and I loved it. And the ending is, the cut scenes are just beautiful. There's lots of lovely graphics. It's really nice. It's always nice to finish a game. I think is a sense of accomplishment. I wish I had a list I could just tick it off. I don't. In my head, though, in my head, I've ticked it off. So there you go. Tick off Super Mario RPG. And there is kind of a post game something you can do, which I started, but I haven't got through that. So I'm not sure how long that will take. But if I find myself with some spare time, I can go and do more, which is cool.
Good.
Yeah,
Well, there you go. You've got something lined up for the months leading up to the Switch 2. You don't need to start a new game. You
exactly.
finish that.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. So yeah, highly recommend Super Mario RPG. Was that? I think it was third in our top 10. Was it
Yeah.
something like that? Third or fourth? I think
About how long
something.
did it take to finish? Do you know?
Well, the when I save it and it says how long you've been playing, it says 13 hours. So
Okay.
yeah, about that long. Yeah, it's not too bad, I guess. I thought it would take longer. I thought it'd be up to 20, but I guess with the post game stuff, maybe it is. Yeah, and that's I guess the time. Well, what does that record? I guess that records the active time that you're playing, which I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know how accurate it is, but I suppose
Yeah.
it's
But
fairly accurate.
yeah, mine are all off because I tend to sometimes fall asleep while I'm playing a game. And then it just keeps recording my time as I stand there and do nothing.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. And there's lots of other things to collect, so I could go back and do that as well. Like there's
Yeah.
the green coins and there's the Yoshi races to do. Yeah, there's a few extra things, some of which I did along the way. There's hidden. I think there's even a number of hidden items, and it tells you somehow somewhere along the way. There's I can't remember where it is now. How many you've actually found, and I had only found a very small number out of whatever it's 20 or 30, I think, and I'd found like five. So I should go back and do that. But we'll see. Again, time. I'm just glad I finished the main game. So yeah, that was cool.
Good.
That's pretty much all I've been playing this week. But what have you been playing?
Well, the first game I'm going to talk about, I haven't been playing. I'm about to start playing it. That's one we have for review. It is Hitman Blood Money Reprisal.
Oh, okay.
I have played a Hitman game a long time ago on the Macintosh. There's a wonderful company that releases games for the Mac called Feral Interactive, and they have put this out for the Switch. They're now releasing games for the Switch too. So this is an old game. This one goes all the way back to 2006. I don't believe this one came out for the Mac, but it was released for PlayStation 2,
Mm.
Xbox. It's been updated for PlayStations and Xboxes, pretty much all of them as they've gone along. Um, there was even an Android and an iOS version that came out
Wow.
before the Switch version, but I haven't played this game, so I'm going to give it a try. Not normally the type of game I play. It's an action game with a lot of combat. However, a lot of it is being sneaky, so you're not actually learning a bunch of Twitch combat moves. The whole point is to be stealthy in your actions and assassinate people without being noticed.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah,
Sounds fun.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But Farrell
Yeah.
has always done a great job with the games they put out, so I expect it to be a good time and at least perform really well on the Switch.
Right. Yeah, that's good. So, what is this the fourth game in the series? Is that right?
Yeah, it was because that's true. Maybe the game, and I could be completely wrong on this, but Hitman 3, maybe the game that I played for the Mac.
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
know some came out after this. There was what is it called? Uh, Abolition. I can't remember.
Oh, a
Um,
Hitman? Yeah, Absolution looks like
Absolution.
this one. Yeah.
Absolution. Yes, that I think was that one came out in 2013, 2012, and that I think is the big one. That's the one that really got a lot of accolades. Um,
Right. Okay.
but the series has always been popular and a little more unique in its approach to this style of gameplay.
Yeah, interesting. I've never played it. They made a movie, didn't they? A Hitman movie, I think.
I don't know. I know there's a Queen
Yeah.
song called Hitman.
Oh, is there?
No, yeah, it had nothing to do with this, but every time
Yeah.
I see it, or that and The Wrestler, Bret the Hitman Hart. Every when I see Hitman, I don't think of video games or movies. I think of Queen and professional wrestling.
Yeah. Looks like there was even one on the GameCube back in the day. Maybe the first one, I guess. I don't
Oh,
know. It's been around since 2000. So, yeah, long running series. I didn't realize there were so many entries, to be honest.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, look forward to hearing your thoughts on that one. Wonder how long the gameplay is for that one, like hours wise.
Yeah, I would assume it's going to be a bit, but since it was released all the way back in 2006, games tended to be shorter back then. Not as
Mm,
not as much storage space to put a whole lot of environments on. So
yeah, true.
we'll see,
Is
and
it?
it'll take me a while because I'm bad at these games, so I'm going to lose a lot and die and have to start over quite a bit. So whatever it
Yeah.
is, add 20 to 30 hours, and that'll be me.
Yeah. Is it kind of level based? It's not like an open world situation, is it?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Like you will get an environment, you get an assignment, you have an environment to do it, and then you kind of go in and figure out the best way to get there, who to interact with, who to avoid, how to hide,
Mm,
and different ways to complete your task. You're not stuck doing one thing. You will have different methods of reaching the goal that you want.
yeah, okay. No, it could be interesting. Yeah. I'm sure they did make a movie, but yeah, I haven't seen it. So
Okay.
cool. How's Persona 5 Royal going?
Um, it's I'm so close to the end, and
Yeah.
that's why I brought that up. I think I'm now over 150 hours into this game.
Wow. That's
Um,
impressive.
yeah, I got it because I wanted something to keep me busy until some of the games that I was looking forward to would come out around Christmas time, and here we are at the end of January, and I'm still playing it. I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was going to be this long, but I love it. I'm having a lot of fun. It's holding my attention, but it brings up a point that I wanted to discuss.
Hmm.
Um, when you're playing a game that basically is doing the same thing throughout, it's an RPG. You're leveling up, you're getting new abilities, and you're going in this game. They're called palaces. Most of the action happens inside of these palaces, which are essentially dungeons. When you get to the end and you're in the last one and you're heading toward the boss battle, do you prefer for that to happen quickly, or do you want to be the biggest, most complex of all the dungeons in the game?
That's a good question. Oh, I don't know. It depends if you want the game to be drawn out, like you don't want it to end. And I'm normally that sort of person. I'm normally, I think I've mentioned, I don't know, maybe offline, but I don't like to watch the last episode of TV series, then it doesn't end, which seems silly because I don't get that, resolution. But then also like even Mario RPG yesterday when I was playing that, I'm like, another boss, another boss. Like I had to work through. I had to get to the final boss. I had to fight all the previous boss. Well, most of them anyway. Like other characters are already beaten, and it was a bit of a grind and a bit of a pain, to be honest. But maybe I was just being impatient, right? Maybe I just wanted to get to the end. So that doesn't really answer your question. I feel like I just want to get there. I feel like.
Okay,
What do you think?
good.
What do you think?
Yeah, see, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
The palace that I'm in now in this game is very long, and it's one of the more complex ones. It's got all these mazes. Like your characters, depending on the room they're in, comically become mice. Um,
Okay.
and so you can't do things like open doors or smash open the treasures. You need to figure out how to work your way through this maze, find the device, shut something off so you can become human again. But there are times when you have to be mice because if you want to be able to find everything, so you're going back and forth numerous times, going through the same rooms, once as a human, once as a mouse, trying to figure this out, figuring it out, doing the whole thing, which is fun and clever. But I'm so close to the end of the game after spending this much time, I don't want to bother with any of it. I just want to get there. And I
Mm.
liken it to like a lot of professional sports, like let's say football or basketball. They get slower as you get towards the end of the game. Teams start calling timeouts. We hit 2 minute
Mm.
warnings. We're fouling on purpose. The games just come to a crawl if the game is close. And I hate that. But then you've got hockey, where if somebody is losing by like one or two goals, You pull the goalie, and it's just a nonstop barrage. It's like
Oh, wow.
one last furious attack. We're taking our goalie out to get an extra guy out there because we need to score, and it's just action, action, action. And unless there's a penalty, there's no stopping. The last 2.5 minutes of hockey is just driving straight to the end,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
glorious. And that's what I want out of my video games. When I'm getting so close to the end, I just want to push. I don't want to be repetitive. I don't want to have to solve too many puzzles to get there, and I certainly don't want to have to grind to get up to the state where I can beat the last boss. I just
Mm.
want to drive to the finish. And that's my first real complaint about Persona 5 Royal is this last palace has just been going on far too long.
Yeah, right. Very
And I don't
interesting
even know if it's the
point.
last one, really. I mean,
True, true.
I'm meeting the main bad guy, but it's also like has DLC, so there's probably going to be something after it.
Yeah,
But
true.
yeah, I will. If that's the case, I will stop. And again, that's on my list of things to tackle while I'm waiting, for the Switch
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. And there's always like, you always fight the boss, and it's never over the first time you beat the
Oh,
boss, right? Like,
yeah,
it's
he'll have 3 stages, and then there will be
yeah.
10 minutes of movies between the stages, and no opportunity to save. So you thought you were
Yeah.
going to bed at 11 o'clock, but it's 12:30 or 1 before you're
Yeah.
finally able to shut things down.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. I would be interested. We should do a poll. Maybe I'll do a poll on
Yeah.
YouTube, or we could do it on Twitter too, to see what people prefer. That's interesting. Um, I think by the end, you just want to get there. I didn't know that about hockey, though. I'm not, we don't really have a big hockey scene here, so I'm not super au fait with it, but
Well,
interesting.
hockey's not very popular in the U.S. either.
Oh, isn't it?
It's pretty
Okay.
far down the pole as far as what people are watching, but they're all insane because yeah, it's especially live. There's nothing else like it. It's easily the best sport
Yeah.
um, to watch live if that's your thing. I mean, yeah, if I say it's the best sport to watch live, but that's because I feel it's that way.
Yeah, yeah, of
Obviously, I'm
course.
wrong because nobody else is watching.
I just didn't know the goalie. I don't know why I said little. The goalie came out. I didn't know that that was a thing. The goalie comes out and joins the team to kind
Yep.
of do they both do that? Because that would
Oh, no, the
be
goalie leaves the ice altogether. He'll leave the ice
oh.
completely, and then a sixth attacker will come out. So
Ah,
you've got everybody on offense down there, and
right. Would
yeah.
both teams do that at once? Sorry, a bit of a
No,
segue. No, okay.
no, the team that's winning they'll pretty much just pull in all their defenders and
Okay.
and of
Yep.
course since they have no goalie, quite often you can easily just slap the puck down, and if it goes in the net, you get a goal. There's no one there to stop it. So
Yeah, it's a
it
risk.
almost
That's a risk.
always doesn't work, but every now and again, it's the right decision.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Strategic. Very cool. Yeah. So 150 hours. Is this now what's your most played game on the Switch now?
I'm going to say it's one of the Xenoblades. I'm pretty sure I was over
Ah, yeah.
200 hours on one of those with all the extra content and
Mhm.
the side quests that you can do. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes
Persona
sense.
5 Royal won't hit that. I got to pull that up. I'm sure I still have those on the Switch. I want to see which ones they were.
Yeah. Has Persona 5 beaten Tears of the Kingdom?
I think so. I think Tears
Yeah.
of the Kingdom I stopped right around 130. Now I'm not done. So if I,
Mhm.
bother to go back and finish it, then I'm sure it'll push back above it.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I almost played Tears of the Kingdom yesterday, but then I didn't. I I wanted to. I thought, no, I can finish Super Mario RPG today. That is achievable. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, getting back into Tears of the Kingdom is that's a commitment.
yeah, exactly. I know once I start playing it, I'll need to continue. I would like to get back into it, but yeah, just not quite ready yet. That's okay. Anyway, that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it at least, and hopefully the final palace dungeon thingy is not too much of a grind.
Yeah. Well, see,
More.
but normally, if it was too much of a grind, I would have stopped, and I'm not even thinking about stopping on this. So
Well, that's good.
obviously, it's good enough for me to push through all this and eventually reach the end.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. Nice. Well, let's move on to, I guess, our final segment, which is the Switch 2 rumors of the week. And I thought, I mean, this is good because, we talked about different aspects of the Switch 2, names of it, etc., release dates, which we still don't know, obviously. And of course, listeners, this is all speculation. Nothing's been announced. Anything we say here is just our opinion, or stuff we've read online, which is also someone's opinion and not true necessarily. But this week's topic seems to be about, I guess, the specifications or the what we think might actually the Switch might be able to handle in terms of horsepower, in terms of size, in terms of what it's actually going to be capable of, computer sort of chip wise, I suppose. So I was reading that it was the specifications were going to put it on par with like the PS4 type of thing. The person who said this was kind of underwhelmed, I guess, at the power, because it's obviously not going to compete. If this was true, it wouldn't compete with current generation consoles like the PS5. Um, does it need to? I suppose is the question. I don't know.
No,
I don't think so.
no.
Yeah. Look at what Nintendo's managed to squeeze out of the humble Switch. You know, it's
I mean, and look how well it's sold. If
yeah.
people are upset because games, don't compete with the top level systems, then people wouldn't be buying it. But they are
Hmm.
they
Yeah,
are buying it.
exactly.
So, the games just have to be fun. They don't need to look like you're at a
Hmm.
movie theater.
Exactly. I know. I wonder at some point whether we're going to hit a maximum, like a ceiling of computer graphics. Like, how much better can they get? Right?
I'm going to say we won't, and
Yeah.
I'm going to knock on Xbox and PlayStation to make this point.
Okay.
That's all they do. Is every
Hmm.
time there's a new system that comes out, it's got better graphics. That's
Mm.
pretty much the selling point. Look how good the graphics are this time.
Yeah.
So if that's how you're driving your business, then you obviously need to keep making games with better and better graphics.
True.
Nintendo
Hmm.
doesn't do that. They get more innovative. They come up with the Wii remote. They come up with dual screens, and they come up with a system that you can dock and take with you. And so they're a bit more clever with that, and
Mm.
that's why I don't think graphics are ever going to matter on the Switch or
Yeah.
on
I
Nintendo devices.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And because you've got two big systems, you've got Microsoft, you've got Sony, putting out graphical powerhouses or whatever, you don't need a third one. And I think Nintendo's realized
Yeah,
that a long time ago. They don't need to compete necessarily with those two.
right.
Let them duke it out and they can be the innovative ones who make fun games that are different. So,
Yeah.
yeah. The,
And what's stopping people from buying two systems?
exactly.
I mean, if you're only upgrading your system, like say, how long has the Switch been out? We're approaching like 8 years now. What are we
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, I think so.
So if
2016.
you
Yeah.
buy a new PlayStation every 8 years and you buy a new Nintendo every 8 years, then every 4 years you're buying a system. You can afford that. Get two systems, have one with all the incredible graphics and those amazing experiences, and then have one with the it, great Nintendo games, the Nintendo
Yeah.
properties, and the fun portability, and you got them both. You're happy. It's not a
Mm.
competition.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think there's any worry. I mean, it's probably obvious to say that the Switch 2 will be stronger, more powerful than the Switch 1. I think that's a
Yeah,
given, right? I mean, we're talking about an 8-year-old console. Things have changed in 8 years. Things are, smaller. Graphic chips are more powerful. You can squeeze more RAM or more memory into stuff these days. So it will be bigger regardless. It will be better and stronger and faster regardless. It won't be a PS5 situation. I don't think anyone was ever going to think that would happen.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, and if they are still focusing on portability, then they need to cram everything into a
Hmm.
smaller device. Then you've seen the PS5, what a
Yeah.
tower that system is, because they
Yeah.
need that much hardware in order to achieve the specs that they want. You can't
Hmm.
do that on a
Yeah,
portable device.
exactly, exactly, and they need, a way to keep the system cool, like fans and things like that, because
Yep.
it's so big and powerful. If you can squeeze a PS4 situation into a handheld, I mean, geez, that's impressive when you think
Yeah,
about
that's
it,
yeah. It's
really. So, yeah, I won't
yeah.
be
Look at the
disappointed with
size
that.
of the original PS4 and compared for crying out loud.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, no, I won't be disappointed with that at all,
No.
but then I think you have some rumors about screen sizes as well.
Yeah, and this I saw. I didn't see this actual where it came from. I saw somebody commenting on it, so I don't
Mhm,
know. It was an industry analyst, I
mhm.
believe, stated that the new system was going to have a larger screen. It'll be 8-inch diagonal measure versus the 7-inch of the OLED. The standard Switch is 6.2 inches diagonal measure.
Right.
So I like bigger is always better. I'm in my 50s. My eyes aren't what they used to be, so give me something to look at. But I don't think it's actually going to add that much onto the Switch because it'll be like the Apple devices where the bezel just gets smaller and smaller and
Mm.
smaller.
Mhm.
So yeah, if we could get a little bit bigger screen with only adding a little more to the hardware, then I'm all for it, and I hope it happens. Although I
Yeah.
also still am seeing that the new system will not be OLED; it's just going to be a standard LCD screen again. So having gotten used to my OLED, that will be a little jarring at first, I think. We'll see what it
Mhm.
actually looks like when it comes out.
Yeah, that's interesting. They might have a couple of different models, I suppose, to choose from, maybe,
Yeah,
potentially. But
that'd be cool.
yeah, I saw the same thing about the LCDs versus OLEDs, and yeah, that's the rumor at the moment that it is going to be based on LCD technology. 8 inches. I mean, yeah, that's quite a significant jump from the standard Switch, anyway.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean,
yeah. I mean, still portable, still easily held. We're not talking like iPad sizes,
yeah.
of course. So
Well, what's the iPad Mini? What size would that be? Would that be 8 inch?
no, I think that's actually smaller than 8 inch, but it's
Oh,
the
okay.
aspect ratio isn't quite the same. But the Switch, you've got the
Mm, true.
Joy-Con or the controllers on the side, adding extra bulk to it that the iPads don't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think it probably has to be at least the 7 inch size, right? I think if you've
Yeah,
gone up to that for the OLED model, you probably want to stick with that. And the Switch Lite, is that smaller than the standard or same as the standard? Do we know?
that's smaller. I think that's 5'7", 5'5", maybe just
Okay.
5. But yeah, I know it's
Yeah.
in the fives.
Yeah. And I guess that one is all about portability. It's
Yeah.
interesting. So it's like phones, I guess. They're so different in sizes. The new Samsung's coming out, and it's like there's the standard, the plus, and the ultra, and they all get bigger each time. It's like, why? Why do I need now? I need to choose between these three sizes and pay more, I guess, for each one. So yeah, I guess it
Yeah, and
depends.
they
Yeah.
they make you like the bigger size also has the more storage space. So if you're putting a lot
Yeah.
on the phone, then
Hmm.
you have to pay for the extra size in order to get the storage space. And
Hmm.
yeah,
I think it has a
I
better battery as well, like a stronger, a bigger battery, so it's better. It's able to
sure.
hold its power longer. Yeah, exactly. Interesting. Yeah, I'm enjoying sort of counting down to the Switch 2. It's an arbitrary countdown because we don't know when it's coming out, but I'm kind of enjoying thinking about it and speculating about it. I think we'll leave Trev's challenge from last week until Trev is back on the show to talk about the timing of it.
Don't
um,
tell him, but I'm just going to guess. I'm not looking at. I'm not looking up his question. I'm guessing.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I did do a little bit of research, but I'll save
Okay.
that for Trev. Yeah. But anything else that we wanted to cover off this week in terms of anything really? Games or Switch 2 rumors or anything else we had to
I don't
mention
think
before we
so.
close things off?
I was noticing that despite the games that are coming out, there aren't a lot right now that I'm really, really excited about. And there at this point last year, there were like 3 or 4 that I was
Mm,
gung
mhm.
ho to get my hands on. I think there are some that I'm looking forward to playing, and I'm certainly all over Unicorn Overlord when that comes out in March. But yeah, this really does feel like the year where a new Switch is going to be coming along because I, you know, I'm just waiting, biding my time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I do love the idea of having a list of things to fall back on, list of games to play while we wait. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. I just don't know if February will be the month that they will give us something or not. Not long to wait, I suppose, until we know via a direct whether that's a thing or not. I don't know.
I bet if they are going to release the new system in 2024, then February is when they will at least announce that something's coming.
I think
Um,
so.
that gives
Mm.
them to like May or June to really give us an in depth look at everything and start talking about games. Because at that point, they're going to have to start pushing things pretty quickly to get things
Yeah.
out in September. So, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
if we don't get a new system announcement in February, then Trevor wins.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I think that's 100% true. Yeah, and I was reading, I think it was another industry analyst saying Nintendo, and I think we've kind of talked about this with Justin as well, that it's a bit of a Goldilocks problem because the Switch is doing so well and it is so popular. They're really kind of caught between a rock and a hard place in terms of whatever happens when they announce something, it's going to affect Switch sales. they've obviously got to compete with the Switch or better the Switch, or it's a tricky one,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really tricky.
Although one other thing that I saw, I don't know if it was the same analyst, if it was just mentioned like offhand in that tweet where I saw the spec sizes,
Mm-hmm.
but it had the phrase, and I can quote this: "better compatibility
Oh,
for
yeah?
backwards games."
Oh,
So,
yeah. Mhm.
and if that's true, then great. Because I think if a new system is coming, that will not stop people from buying games if they know what I purchased now, I'm going to be able to play on the new system.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so
Mhm.
that will help. But yeah, it's, how do you move on from what is this their bestseller of all time? Is the DS still above it?
I think the DS is still slightly above it. Yeah, I
Okay.
think this is
Yeah.
the
It's,
second best now,
yeah. And
for
this
Nintendo.
shut down the DS. I mean, if we didn't have the
Yeah.
portable Switch, if this was just a dock thing, then we would still have a version of the DS out there. So
Mm,
yeah,
mhm.
whatever they do, they got to make sure that it's going to carry the day since they only have one system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. They've always had well, yeah, they have always had 2 since gosh, since the Game Boy. I mean, they had the handheld and the home console. Now it's
Hmm.
just the one. So yeah, they've got to, the handhelds carried them through, I guess. I mean, the Wii did well, but when they had that lull, the GameCube probably wasn't as successful as they wanted. The Wii U definitely wasn't. But they had the Game Boy, they had that sort of family of systems. They had the DS family systems, and they
Yeah.
really did well and carried them through. So I guess it makes sense to focus on that if that's going to be their main, I don't know, moneymaker, I
Yeah.
suppose. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. Yeah. Well, let us know, listeners, what you think of all of this hearsay and speculation. It is fun. But yes, it'll be, I think a lot of people are just waiting, really. And at some point, they're just going to have to do something. Yeah. I think we said this last week. We're almost forcing Nintendo's hand here because everyone's talking about it so much.
That's
Like, if they haven't already come up with the system, they are definitely working on one. But they would have been working on one for quite a few years, I imagine.
yeah.
Just
I
very,
can't imagine. After the release of the Switch, how many days was it before you think they were back in
yeah,
checking to see what's
exactly.
next?
Yeah, they don't rest on their
Yeah.
laurels. They don't sit idly and wait for these
Yeah.
things. Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Kirk. Thank you, listeners, for joining us this week. We hope you enjoyed the show. Let us know your thoughts. If you would like to support us, we are on patreon.com/pure Nintendo. We put out a bi-monthly magazine, which we're working on the next issue right now. Grab yourself a copy. We're also on all of the kind of major social platforms, Twitter. We're on Blue Sky now as well, and Mastodon. Head on over and follow us on one of those, your channel of choice. And until next week, game on, everybody. Bye.